Hello, and welcome to Facts on the Issues episode on the Second Amendment. In this episode, we're going to go over what is the Second Amendment, what are the interpretations of the Second Amendment, and the Supreme Court decisions revolving around the Second Amendment. So, let's begin. Alright, so let's start off with what is the Second Amendment? Well, the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and is part of the Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. The Constitution is a set of laws that the government must uphold and protect, and can only be changed by amending the Constitution, which is an incredibly hard process to undergo. The Second Amendment itself states, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So now that you know the definition, we can start to dissect it. What does this really mean? It's kind of hard to understand, especially with the older English being used and the placements of commas. It's kind of hard to understand exactly what the Founding Fathers meant by this. Did they mean that a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, has the right to bear arms, or was that completely separate from the right of the people to keep and bear arms, as well as the regular militia? Do they both have the right to keep and bear arms, or just the militia? It's very confusing and has a lot of people talking on both sides. Alright, so now let's start diving into more of the interpretation of the Second Amendment. While the Second Amendment's overall purpose was to protect the American people from a tyrannical government, all people should be able to keep and bear arms. Well, this could technically help against a tyrannical government because the people will be able to rise up and defeat the government possibly, or defend themselves at least. But the counter argument to that is that most people cannot be trusted with guns, as we can see today with mass shootings, homicides, etc., and that an unorganized force of people would not help against a tyrannical government, and is simply not worth the risk. The second step is the militia has the right to keep and bear arms, as is necessary for the free state, which could also technically help against a tyrannical government if you have a militia running around and protecting people from an oppressive government. The counter argument to that, though, is that some say that a militia can be run by a tyrannical government and not protect the people, and therefore make it even more oppressive, a more oppressive regime. So both sides have good points, but what about the court cases? Let's actually look at some Supreme Court cases and decide who is really right here. There actually hasn't been that many court cases recently regarding the Second Amendment and its interpretation. But the most recent one was on June 26, 2008, District of Columbia v. Heller. The court ruled that the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution confers an individual right to possess a firearm for traditionally lawful purposes, such as self-defense. It also ruled that two District of Columbia provisions, one that banned handguns and one that required lawful firearms in the home to be disassembled or trigger locked, violate this right. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled that the right to keep and bear arms does not mean that the government can't regulate and create laws to go along with the arms, but it does mean that the people do have the right to bear arms in most situations and with most weapons. Using this court case, we can see that as it has stood since 2008, the Supreme Court has ruled that the individual, otherwise known as the people, do have a right to keep and bear arms, but under some regulation and restrictions. Thank you very much for watching this unbiased video regarding the Second Amendment and what it stands for. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the Facts on the Issues YouTube channel for more unbiased facts on political issues and problems in today's society.